In this session, we'll tell you why everyone, yes, everyone, should play D&D. Wait, did I read that right? Everyone? Join our adventure party as we delve into the social and cultural aspects of our favorite game, all while enlightening our taste buds with a random craft beer. So crack open your favorite bardic inspiration and roll initiative with us of Dice and Brews. Welcome to Of Dice and Brews. This is our first episode, and we just wanted to take some time to let you guys get to know each one of us who's on this podcast and get to know our background and our relativity to each other. I'm gonna have each of my friends, both John,
yep,
and Andy, roll a d20. I'm also going to roll a d20 because you don't know who I am either. And we're going to see who goes first in introducing ourselves in this inaugural episode of Dice and Brews.
Of Dice and Brews.
All right. So Ben, rolled a 5.
Are we getting any pluses to these initiatives?
You are not proficient in who introduces himself first. Big 9. That's a high roll for John, by the way.
It's a super high roll for John.
That's a high roll.
Double digits are rare.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Big 15.
Ooh.
Andy, please tell us who you are.
My name is Andy, also known as Andrew, also known as AG from time to time.
Never heard that one.
Not AD, AG.
AG. You haven't heard that one, but a lot of the people that I do play with actually call me AG. That's because I'm a part-time youth pastor, and so I run D&D for a bunch of teenagers, and
that's actually awesome.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Pretty fun.
How is that?
It's one of those things you can't show up thinking you're going to tell this really in-depth story, because at some point in time, teenage boys are going to do what teenage boys do.
Yeah.
and that in itself can be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I met these two cool cats and kittens.
John's the kitten.
Wait, who's the kitten?
John's the kitten.
I think you're the youngest here.
Definitely not the kitten.
No, I just think New Year. It's the beginning of the new year.
Are you starting a trend?
No, I'm thinking of like this time last year we were all watching Tiger King.
Oh.
So I'm kind of like throwing it back.
Let's leave 2020 in the past.
Well,
Not I.
Anyway, so I met these guys, 2017, I think?
Been a little bit.
Or 2016.
Dude, at this time,
I don't know.
This time of my life, years kind of just meld together.
Let's just say it's been,
I want to say it's been like 4.
Yeah, it's been 4
5.
years.
We'll go 5 years.
Has it been that long? Jeez.
I want to say it's been 5 years.
I mean, we
Well,
weren't
how
out,
old's
we
Emma?
weren't out here in
Emma's 3.
Okay, so it'd be 4 years, because I know that when I first started playing with you guys, Marie wasn't pregnant.
And that's my family.
That's your... Anyway, maybe we don't want to bring kids into this and we need to restart recording. But anyway, so yeah, been playing for 4 years. My only real experience with the tabletop version of D&D is 5th edition, but I was really into Neverwinter Nights when that came out on PC back in 2000 something, and I believe that was based on 5 or 3.5 or something. Anyway, I don't know. That was my stuff with D&D. But
You told us a really cool story about your first introduction to D&D where you stepped in and you Jaegered.
Oh, yeah. So actually, my first ever playing D&D, I don't even know what version we were playing. I just was handed a character sheet, and I mean, it might have been 4th edition.
Here's some numbers, roll a dice and add these numbers to it.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and it was this guy that I knew, my best friend growing up, since rest in peace, he passed away earlier last year. But he had a campaign that he was running, and his dad was the dungeon master. And I literally show up, and I'm sitting around this table with 5 other guys, and then Jim's over here, and he's doing this, and I'm looking around, and it's this guy's just making shit up. Is this really what the game is? Just
absolutely,
making shit up,
that's what the game is.
Welcome to D&D.
Yeah, exactly. and I look at the character sheet and I'm like, okay, what am I seeing? And the one thing that stuck out was chaotic neutral, and it was some thing where we were like in a town and this guy had information, or no, chaotic good. And so my thought was okay, chaos for the good of the party. Okay, so this guy's not giving us the information. I'm just going to start punching him until he gives me the information because he's a bad guy anyway. What do I care, right? You know, it's for the good of the
I
party.
still see that play in some of your characters you play today.
Yeah, I get it.
Pim.
The legendary Pim
In
will return.
stereo.
Yeah, but I just remember playing that and just being like, okay, chaos. I am to sow chaos, or that's what I like is chaos. And
You read super deep into the.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't know what this character was, and I think it was like a level 2 because he only had like 14
and
hit
then on
points
top
or
of
something
that,
like that.
Jaegering, for those at home, I mean, Jaegering means you take up the mantle of something already there, already existing.
Yeah, so like
So he's piloting.
yeah,
a
if
character
I
that
wasn't
already
if I
existed.
wasn't here to play a session and everybody wanted to play, they'd have somebody
We
else
would
come
just
in
write
and-
you off. Like you would be dead.
Yeah,
If you don't show up, you die at my table.
that's true.
That's harsh.
It's harsh, but it's
That's
how
not what happens when I DM. But
Why do you think there's so
That's what
many
happened to
character
Horby.
sheets hanging above us right now?
just for reference, there's 0.
there is 0, but I mean, we have been talking about
I
it
was
for a
the
long
I was the
time.
very first one to die at this table, and
It was
my
kinda
character
funny.
sheet is still not anywhere to
It
be
was
seen.
kinda funny. Oh, well, John, how about you introduce yourself
Yeah.
to the
Oh,
masses?
all right. I'm John. I've been playing D&D. Ben actually introduced me to.
Hi, I'm Ben.
Yeah, he's been. To
about
D&D in this time of my life. I actually did play a couple times in my teenage years. Not really knowing what I was doing. We just had character sheets and a friend's buddy, or actually a friend's stepfather telling us a story. I have no memory of it at all, but I know I played it. But what we've been playing for 7 years now.
Yes.
I think about 7 years.
I'm with you, man. Like, honestly, it feels like it was just yesterday, but at the same time, it's been quite a while.
Yeah. So I mean, in the spectrum of D&D, we are still pretty new. 7 years isn't a long time, but
Feels like a lifetime. I feel like we've been through 3 editions now. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
well, Pathfinder
5e, and now Pathfinder 2e. Even though nobody's played that, but we're still around during that time, so we're gonna count it as an edition crossing.
we
to
were
be
around
fair,
during 4e. No, we
We've
weren't
been around
during
since
4e.
2nd edition. What are you talking about?
No,
If we're-
I'm talking about like play
well,
experience.
okay, play experience. Yes, okay.
No, 5e came out in 2000 and.
It's been around for like 6 years now.
Okay, so no, we haven't really been playing at all during the 4e generation.
No, but we were playing Pathfinder, so we don't know what was going on with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Which, at this point, I would like to say that Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is my premier choice of tabletop rule set.
And how?
I would agree. I don't know anything really about 4e. I've looked at the player's handbook and I've read the player's handbook for 4e, and just
Little does he
by
know, he just opened up a whole can of worms. Everybody that's going to leave a comment.
oh yeah,
4E. 4E.
no, you'll get those random ones. 4e was so much better than 5e.
Actually,
No,
there's one thing that I use in that's 4E is that's minions.
Oh yeah,
Minions
I
are
think
awesome.
everybody uses that one.
I don't know why they don't
That's
have
the only thing I took
Mass
from that.
amount of 1 hit point characters.
That's the
or
only thing I
creatures.
took from that one YouTuber who will remain nameless, but that's the only thing I took from him. Good advice.
You know, for somebody who talks fast, I thought you would like him.
Oh, man. Oh, anyway, John, who are you?
Other than that though, no, I'm just a family man, and I got 2 kids, a fiance, work, trying to start our own business.
You DM for your family as well, don't you?
Oh yes, I do. I run a starter. I'm doing one of the starter kits for my fiance and a couple of her cousins because they got interested into it.
And what are the age ranges like? Are we talking about like young adults?
No, we're
older.
We're talking probably
Like senior
The youngest
citizen?
is like 24, I think.
That's a young adult.
I'd call that.
Yeah, I'd call that.
Okay.
Not a seasoned veteran by any stretch.
Well, I think the oldest guy that plays with us is like 32.
Yeah, that's an old fuck.
Yeah.
What's that make us?
Older.
fucks.
Okay.
Hey. Besides Ben, not that much.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
Yes, I am the senior citizen of this group.
you are, and I'm the young one somehow.
Do you got your AARP card?
Or-
Just put that paperwork in on Monday. I can't wait to get that senior citizen discount at Denny's whenever they open up again.
Right.
Hey, Grand Slams are something to behold, man.
Well, they're not good when you get DoorDash.
Of course
No,
not.
they're so.
You
Oh.
eat that stuff hot.
Nothing
I
worse
I
than
made that
cold
mistake.
eggs, huh?
I made that mistake.
All right, last but not least, I am Ben. You know what? This whole group came together by us sitting around before sessions and kind of just shooting this shit, really. And I was just like, one time, like, hey, why aren't we recording this? You know, this is all stuff that younger DMs and play groups go through and face, and not many podcasts or YouTube channels actually talk about this stuff, about the trials and tribulations of forming a play group, or why are we playing, or how people meet because of the game.
Yeah, you're not getting your top fives on this channel.
No, you're not. This is not a Tasha's review, people. We're not going over how everybody should be a mountain dwarf.
This isn't the 7 best multi-class options in D&D.
What feat should you take at level 3?
No, we're not doing that here.
Anyway, I started D&D probably about 7 years ago with John. He was probably maybe a little bit before that. I would push it. I would say maybe.
I think you ran one
maybe
campaign. You
8 years.
You got like murdered real quick in that one too, right?
Dude, I was so bad. Never go against what you describe your character to be. I was playing a drow in the sunlight. Weird. Okay. Pathfinder. And I was playing a drow, and he was like a pirate king kind of thing going on. I written this elaborate backstory as my first fucking character ever. I written this elaborate like 3-page character backstory, so I can only imagine when I handed it to the DM, he was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Isn't that what
And
we
just
all do with the
tossed-
first character?
I don't know, but at the same time, like, I
one
can
paragraph now.
I can only like 3 lines. Are you kidding me? Like, what's the last campaign that I put you guys in? I was like, "Hey, you guys get one fucking memory." I don't want to deal with your fucking background shit. So anyway, so like I wrote this elaborate like 3-page fucking backstory for this character. Like, dude, I had him planned out, man. He was gonna be this fucking. His family got murdered. He was looking for his fucking like. My name is Amigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepared to die kind of strategy. And in the first session, I went against every fucking thing that I told my character he wasn't going to be. Is that he was going to be the loner. He was going to be fucking all about himself. And I tried to save somebody. Guess what? I died by some poison darts from some fucking frog toad things shooting in the trees that were fucking.
Oh my god,
invisible.
what are those called?
Bullywugs.
Yeah, bullywugs.
Bullywugs, I think. But anyway, we didn't even know that much. So that was my first experience with 3.5, and needless to say, I didn't go back to that table.
Yeah, no, you were playing. That was with
Andy's uncle.
Andy's uncle over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
So I knew Andy's uncle before I knew Andy, yeah. But Andy's uncle's brother was running the combat. So Andy's uncle was a DM, and then Andy's uncle's brother.
Yep.
Would that make you your uncle too?
No.
No.
Your uncle's brother isn't your uncle?
No, because he's my half uncle. So same.
Oh, that's confusing. We'll
yeah,
just
don't
say-
worry about it.
We'll just say-
I'm my
we'll just
own
keep-
grandpa, I'm sure.
So anyway, so his brother was running the combat, so it was like a dual fucking DM thing, and dude, it was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, like they were telling a great story, and the combats
I
were.
loved Andy's campaign he did for us.
You mean Daniel?
Yeah, that one.
But anyway, so like the story was intriguing. I was so up in it, and then the combats were hard, but I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? And then,
getting in, having somebody like Daniel DM for a brand new one. Like, I love Daniel. His gameplay is amazing, but as a new guy, I could see it being fucking strenuous.
Why didn't you read the book?
the whole
You
book.
should know every rule
And then
already.
read every Forgotten Realms novel ever invented.
What does the approach look like?
If you ever listen to this, we absolutely love you.
Amen.
So anyway, I've been playing for about, I'll say 8 years now, and then I contacted John on when a new campaign arose or put itself out there, and I don't know if was I running that one? Was that mine? Was that the Thundercats runoff?
No, our first one was...
Oh, the guy
The what? The guy?
the guy with the
Oh.
black dragon.
Yes.
The guy with the black dragon. Okay, so
Are we talking Ogre Ninja Magi?
yes, we are. Anyway, so we ran a campaign together, and because I thought it would be up John's alley, and then finally I decided we switched over to 5e at that point.
Yeah.
And I decided that I was going to try myself at DMing and throw myself to the wolves. And
You got stuck as Forever DM after that.
Labeled Forever DM after that point.
Yep.
Up until about 6 months ago. So, but I was going to try my stick at it, and I ran the Lost Mine of Phandelver starter kit, which is an excellent campaign adventure, very first DM friendly.
Agreed.
Gives you plenty of options to write your own stories or go any direction that you want to.
And I'll even plug in the new Essentials Kit one.
We're talking about me right now.
Yeah, Icefire Peak though. Oh, super action starter DM.
I played it
friendly.
twice, and neither one of those was the same.
Oh,
yeah. You did. You level 2, level 3,
Level 2, level 3.
somewhere in there.
That seems where all campaigns die is level 3.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ran Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I had that first experience. I had both. That's where I got introduced to Andy.
Yep.
Is at that table, because we had Daniel at the table too, and then we had several other people, and that play group honestly was like hands down the best play group I've ever played with. And I don't know if that's like the newness of it, but it just seemed like everybody was like down to RP. Everybody was down for combat. Like we had people standing around the table when it came to combat time. Like everybody was just so involved.
Well, one of the things that you did really well was, or that you did, I don't know if it was intentional, but you had like that the platform like raised so it was all eye level, which once combat happened, we had to get up and we had to get involved. There was no
We
back
get the
seat.
blood flowing.
There was no backseat.
You're not sitting down because you can't see anything at that point.
Yeah, which
Everything is above you.
Maybe that's a topic we talk about sometime.
Yeah, maybe. I you know what? To be honest with you, I never even thought about that.
Sunken table versus elevated.
Raised table.
Yeah.
That's,
Stand for
Interesting.
battle, man.
wow. That's
Hey, right
you
now
get the
we're
blood
using, just for reference, we're using a sunk down table, so we all sit about 4 inches higher
than
than
the bottom of the table.
The bottom of the table.
Yeah, that I never even realized that. That's crazy. Epiphany. Lightning has struck my brain. Anyway, so I mean, and so we all came together, and we've been playing in play groups ever since. I mean, people had to take their absences here and there, but for the most part, the three of us have remained pretty stable.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
had
I think,
interchanging seats, but I mean, due to
Well, besides me and Andy.
various- That's what I'm saying.
No, me and Andy have not changed seats from day one.
Except for that time I had to sit over there.
You were forced over here for a little bit, but other than that, you've been right there.
In order to reduce side conversations, DM, please assign seats.
Another
Sometimes
good
you
topic.
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like we maintained the three of us throughout different play groups and different campaigns and different starts of campaigns and different people DMing or trying to DM. So we were talking. We run a campaign. I run a campaign every other Friday, and you guys are both in it, and it's a homebrew campaign. But you guys always come early. Always. Even if I tell you don't come until this time, you guys always show up at my fucking doorstep early.
I don't know how many times I've been here. I'm like, hey, Ben, where
I
you at?
don't know if
You're not home yet.
I don't know if these guys actually have a home or they just wait until Friday to show up at the doorstep.
John and I live in the trash can around the corner.
The alley. So like I said, so like we're sitting around the table a couple hours early, and I'm trying to like scribble down like vigorously my DM notes. Like, God damn it, I needed another hour to prep. And then we're talking, and I was like, dude, let's just start a podcast. Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And like these guys know me, but I mean, like you guys will get to know me. Like when I do something, I just do it. All
Okay,
the
hold
way.
on. For the audience to get an idea, he shot this idea out to us.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. You know, a few days after we just got done playing, and he's like, "Hey, what about a podcast?" You know, and
Actually, it
me
and
and
been
Andy-
the next day. It might have been a Saturday.
It was
Okay.
probably like a Saturday like 3 weeks ago.
yeah. That's how fast this came along. That Saturday, he's like, "Hey, you know, what about?" I think it was the next day after. You know,
Yeah, it
Friday
was.
session.
I think I was more excited about the podcast than I was about the session.
Yeah, well, not even
Duh.
Tuesday came around,
Seen it
and
with
we got microphone, headsets. He's got I don't know, soundboard. Is that what you call that thing?
Yeah.
I'm not a techie guy. And within 1 week, we're already like outlining podcast. You know how we're gonna run this. I think in 1 week we got a logo.
Yeah.
There is a logo.
Yeah,
Listen, man.
Ben
You never
dives
know.
head first.
You never know it's going to be real until you get a fucking logo.
Yeah, and an intro music thing.
But you know what? To your enthusiasm and your go-getterness, I don't know. I don't know if it did it for you, Andy, but it sucked me right in. And now I'm sitting at home watching YouTube videos of like
how to start a podcast.
How to start a podcast.
What's the next
how to,
steps in monetizing your podcast?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm watching all the YouTube. Like I don't know nothing about this. Time to cram.
So you guys are literally witnessing something happen from a bunch of people who don't know what we're doing. We're just learning.
Yeah.
As we go. And I think
come along with us on this journey.
Yeah. I mean, this is our adventure that we're doing right now.
Speaking of our adventure,
we're going to do a beer review.
Yeah, I think it's time. Like, speaking of an adventure, let's enough about us. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
We got some beer to drink.
Have a pint, take a break, and relax. It's my favorite part of the show. So tell me, boys, what's on tap? Our first beer of our inaugural season, of our first session, we'll even call this a 0 session, if you will, is, what's the name? Hibernation Ale. English-styled old ale by the Great Divide Brewing Company. And to me, it tastes like almost a Guinness IPA hybrid. It's got very, very nice stout foreshadowing with some IPA bitterness in the after.
Oh, it's got divination magic in there?
I would call it illusionary.
I
the can is pretty.
Personally, I'd call it necromantic.
Don's not a big fan.
The best way I would describe it, I mean, we're up here in Washington, so we're very aware and very acquainted with Red Hook Brewing Company. To me, this is a bigger malty, bigger.
Don't you connect this to Red Hook?
Version of
Don't you connect
Red
this
Hook
to Red Hook?
ESB?
Get the hell out of here!
No.
I bet if we side by sided these, this beer is like they took the.
No, it's not even the same color.
Well, of course, it's not the same color, but I'm saying flavor wise.
No,
I personally
strongly disagree.
I picked this one out.
It's
purely off
fucker.
of because it was seasonal, and I know Andy doesn't like IPAs, and I saw this was an
God,
ale,
no.
so I was like, oh, ale. I'm not a beer connoisseur like Andy actually is. I didn't know what an English style ale was. It turns out to be like a really, really heavy stout, which I like stouts. I love Guinness and Murphy's and a lot of those other stouts. Ninkasi Brewery, I think, does a really good stout.
They do a really good oatmeal stout, that's for sure.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not a fan of whatever this is. I don't like it.
It's English.
It's
they should just stick to frying
English
fish and
old
making
ale.
beef stew.
Yeah, if you frying fish. Okay,
I don't even think they fry fish. They
fish and chips. Where do you think that comes from?
Is it even fried over there?
Yeah,
They fry it?
Well, it's definitely not fucking sushi.
No, I thought boiling was their thing. Boiling everything.
I think they boil like the eel and
Potatoes?
stuff that they eat.
Obviously, never been to England.
Anyway.
No knock on English. I actually like a lot of English food.
If I from my
Love French
experience,
fries.
if I was going to equate this to any other beer, it would be a Red Hook ESB.
This guy's off his rocker.
It would be.
I really don't think he's ever actually had a.
Yeah.
I love ESB. I love Red Hook ESB. This is horrible.
Totally get it, but this is what would happen if you took the bitterness and the maltiness and just like cranked it to 11, which isn't what makes ESB good. It's a balanced beer. This is not a balanced beer.
No,
That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
The guy,
so
the guy,
okay.
so the
He's
guy
saying-
on the can is like a skier or maybe like a cross country guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, cross-country
I
skiing.
feel like he's trying to run away from this beer.
I think it's actually a really horrible
Logo?
shadow silhouette, whatever that is.
Ladies
of-
and gentlemen, I just want to let you know that this is not a bad beer. It's just we don't like it.
Hey, what's the
likes-
name of the company again?
Great Divide
The
out
Great
of
Divide.
We're giving him
Yeah,
a
we're
We're
shout
not
shout out.
knocking you in any way. I'm
No.
just personally not a fan
And
of
if you
this.
have a better beer, send it to us.
Yeah.
We'll
and,
try it.
And
We'll try
Andy
anything
actually
once.
likes this one. I personally am not. I will continue if I see your beer, your brewery out there again at Total One
I'll
more or
completely
something.
shit on you and fucking curse your name.
I'll try another one. I am not one to
On to the next season.
disqualify you after one.
next time in Denver, I'll get a growler. I'll bring it in.
Listen,
and we'll
Yeah,
have it.
Hey, but
I'll try some. I want to try.
I'm on the fence. Like this, if this was at a party and I saw that this was what they were serving, I wouldn't shy away from it.
Oh no,
But at the same time,
I
like,
would
I don't
drink
think
water.
I don't think I would go to Total Wine anymore and purchase this off the shelf, personally.
Which is what John did. Hey, give me another one, please.
Hey,
We'll have another.
I got the other 6-pack for next week in there.
You got any more of those, though?
Yeah.
There's a couple more.
Yeah.
We're the only ones drinking it now.
Yeah, I quit. I tried a second one.
By the way,
I'll
it
take one.
is
I didn't like it.
8.7%.
Yeah,
so
I will.
if you're into that, get yourself some Great Divide Hibernation Ale.
I just say it's a big beer. It's too big.
Did you want
Can
one
I
too?
have one? Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to go to the refrigerator. You might as well get everybody one. Hey, that's a nice sound. All right, so on to our first topic, or our only topic today.
Okay.
Of-
All right.
Hold on.
Hold on 1 second. In Great Divide's benefit, I like to play the devil's advocate.
Yes, you do.
I'm over here drinking a Truly.
Lemonade.
We're gonna bring him a rosé next week.
I was thinking more like a barefoot wine.
Yeah, a barefoot bubbly.
Yeah.
I'll bring the yellowtail and the
You're not,
14
hold on,
hands for you.
hold on. You're not alone because guess whose Trulies those are?
Yours.
I brought the Trulies. All right. Okay. So, first topic of our initial session: why we believe that everyone should play D&D. And I'm going to start off. I'm going to pull Dungeon Master card, and even though we rolled initiative and Andy rolled a 15.
Well, it's a new battle.
It's a new battle. I feel like it's the same one with you guys all the
Well,
time.
this is a different initiative.
This is a completely different image. But I'm going to pull DM card. I'm going to pull legendary action, and I'm going to tell you why I think that everybody should play D&D.
No, it's not a
And-
legendary action. This is a lair action.
A layer action. And so my reasoning for everybody playing D&D is we've talked about this before. We've had this conversation. So this is kind of rehashed, but it needs to be brought up again. And John, you made this statement to me the last time that we or to us the last time we talked about this, and you said that D&D imitates life.
Mm-hmm.
And I will strongly agree with that. I think that's the premier argument or statement that needs to go with this, is that D&D is life simulation pretty much. You get to create a character from nothing. Just like people are born from, we don't know where we're well, from our mother and father, of course, but you're born
Aliens.
you're born with
Ceramorphosis.
you're born without a clue to who you are as a person. And you go through life assimilating skills and knowledge, just like in D&D, and you choose a path of which you want to travel, just like D&D, and you equip your character with the skills, and as us as people, we equip ourselves with the skills we think are necessary to survive whatever life throws at us, obstacles, intangibles, all that other stuff, just like D&D. So what I think is that everybody should play in D&D because this game not only prepares you for some of those obstacles, but it's based on the foundation in which our society is based on, and that's communication.
Yeah.
If you don't have communication in our everyday life, then you don't progress.
Mm-mm.
You don't go forward anymore. You're stuck. And not only are you left to your own vices and devices, but you're also hindered in your ability to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about, like, if I didn't have Andy and John to talk to, if I didn't have ideas to bounce off of them, if I didn't get to communicate with them on even a weekly basis, because we don't communicate every day. But I mean, if I didn't get to communicate with my friends or my family every day, if I didn't get to talk to people, then what would I be? I would kind of be like a hermit slash, what are some other words I'm looking for?
Plastic welder.
Yeah. Like I would not be a full person. Like, people are meant to be sociable, or social, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like-
Relational.
And, yeah, absolutely. And let
So,
me
like,
give you a background
Googleable?
about myself real quick. When I was in high school, I was fat, like huge. I was a huge kid. I was constantly made fun of. Constantly. I have a gap in my teeth, and I was constantly made fun of. Through sense of humor did I find how to diffuse those situations, but it hurt every step of the way.
Oh, yeah.
So I said to myself that these kids like to laugh at me. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a fun of myself first. That way they have no ammunition to laugh at me, because they already think that nothing can hurt me because I'm already laughing at myself.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those reverse psychology things. I think that D&D, through the process of social integration and group conversation and problem solving, gives kids and people the ammunition they need survive those social situations.
I can see how it can help them definitely work out personal real life altercations that they might come across. It's like running life in a simulation. Like you said, it's a simulation of life. But I can understand where you're coming from on that one.
And I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to solve your problems, but I'm saying that it might prepare you in order to be able to socially communicate how you feel to these people through problem solving by how you problem solved in your D&D group.
I'm pretty sure we all do this in situations when we're coming up to something in life where we're not sure the outcome. We run through scenario after scenario, and we have full-on dialogues in our heads.
Yeah, what life is not complete with full-on dialogues in your head?
Or
At
you're
2:00 in the morning. I should have said.
Dude, you know what? The funny thing is like that's when you do your best thinking is when you're laying awake, staring at the ceiling, nothing else is going on, and that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I catch myself all the time listening to audiobooks, and then I'll in my head just go off in tangents about, they bring up something in the book that I'm reading, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, let me think about that. And here's 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, what happened in the book now?
I do that
Rewind.
even when I'm reading, though. Like, I don't even understand how
It's
that's
those
possible.
trigger words, right?
It's like you'll be reading and then you
Oh
start...
yeah, and you're still reading.
I'm still reading and I'm like, why am I 4 page? I don't know what has happened. Yeah.
I feel like that way every time I watch an Ernest movie.
What just happened?
Wait, hold on, rewind.
It's
That was really cool.
It's scary to think, but I know we've all done it because I'm not the only one. Where
Yeah,
you're
you
driving
might be.
you're driving from one location to another location, and both
Don't
are
close your eyes.
both are something that you've done thousands upon thousands of
And
times.
you don't remember the space in between.
You have no clue about how did I get here?
Or you missed the exit on the freeway.
I mean, I was going here, but I don't remember driving here.
For me, it's usually after work. Is like, I get in the car and then I don't know. I just somehow am home all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you're a kid and you fall asleep on the couch and your parents teleport you. I like to call it teleporting to bed. And you're like,
I just did
You
that
woke-
to my daughter last night.
you wake up and you're like in your bed and you're like, how did I get here? I was on the couch.
It's a magic thing.
But to the point though, I understand your point. Simulation of life. You can role play out scenarios. You can work some internal questions out. And as we this is a rehash, but I still disagree at the same time. I don't think D&D is for everybody.
Okay, so now we're going to go into why this particular skill set, or this particular rule set, I should say, lends itself well to your argument, or to your disbelief of the argument. 5th edition rule set lends itself well to any genre. You can reskin it as absolutely anything.
Oh yeah.
And we're all witness to that. We watch many shows that are reskinned as such. We read books that are reskinned as such. We watch YouTube that are everything is reskinned. It lends itself well to that because there's less work into reskinning these rules for other genres such as like sci-fi, Wild West, modern.
It's easy to turn a bow and arrow, a long bow, into a laser rifle.
Right.
It's not hard.
So, and all the rules are there. It's just all about your imagination, which lends me to my other reason why I think everybody should play D&D, because D&D in my mind frees your mind, frees everybody's mind. It allows you to see things that you might not see through your own eyes.
Well, I would even go as far as to say that it provides a risk-free environment to make mistakes, because at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Yeah.
But you still have this ability to try new things, risk things,
Or want to.
or
not
want to.
ability, the want to,
Yeah,
period.
because you don't have anything to lose, because you're like, I'm just having fun. Isn't this fun?
Right.
Like,
As to where 16-year-old Ben would be like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to make an idiot of myself. I'm not going to do that.
yeah. Well, and I was just reading this article that was talking about how this particular person, this guy named Adam Davis, he's a co-founder of a Dungeons and Dragons therapy group called Wheelhouse Workshop, and he helps he plays D&D, runs D&D for these kids, and he had one kid kid that the article calls him Frank, obviously not his real name, but he was a tall, lanky teenager who barely spoke above a whisper. And the kid chose to be a dwarven barbarian. And while he was playing the game, Adam was able to get Frank to embody the character, so sit like the dwarf would sit, with his leg, just kind of like lazy and his arms on the table and like out in front and be boisterous and stuff. I mean, this is a kid that obviously had social issues,
right? And
through D&D was able to break through some of that stuff. Now, granted, he's not going to show up to class as his
dwarf barbarian Gothar or whatever he named him. But it's
a good name.
I just made it up.
I don't even know.
I don't even know if it's on here.
Gothar.
I just said Gothar. I like G names.
Gothar,
I wonder if it has something to do with my last name.
Destroyer.
But yeah, I mean,
it says
Gothar the Destroyer.
Yeah, he went into barbarian mode, and then this kid comes out of his shell. And granted, he's still going to have some social awkwardness.
Yeah, but that's the start. Everybody needs a start.
And he was able to go, oh, it's okay to act like this.
Right. In front of a group of his peers. I'm sure that they don't play those D&D games alone.
Oh, no.
So, that's the other thing. Is social anxiety? In a time now where we're all behind a text, keyboard, screen, tablet of any kind, social anxiety is at an all-time high. What happens when we go back to these, our normal everyday lives, and we have to confront the people that we haven't seen in months?
Mm-hmm.
Social anxiety for some people is going to be absolutely horrendous.
Astronomical, yeah.
Yeah, so D&D actually gives you a platform to almost put a screen in front of yourself and make yourself available to other people through another persona to conquer your social anxieties.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, to the point of not everybody that I think not everybody should play is I've said this before is I do not think the role playing atmosphere or even the rules game type thing everybody's interest. I understand that the topic is everybody should play, not everybody wants to play, because I think there's a large group of people that they don't do games, they don't do anything like that, they have no interests in this, and that's just not them, and to force it upon them, or I mean not even force it upon them, but rigorously suggest it to them.
Well, I'm definitely not saying that we should force anything upon
anybody.
that's why but at the same time, I believe that, okay, so even though let's say that you were one of those friends for me.
Can I real quick?
Go for it.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you said something really that I want to capitalize on, because you said that not everybody plays it, but what 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons has done has shown that pretty much everybody's playing D&D anyway.
That's true. I mean,
there's a lot of people. I mean, I think it pulled back the curtains of Oz.
Absolutely.
Big
time. Wholeheartedly. I'll agree with that.
So sorry.
I think there's a lot of people that have been playing D&D for years that have just shied away from even talking about it. There's a few channels out there that have exacerbated the level and attention that D&D receives for the good.
Right.
I love it.
Like a reincarnation.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden,
celebrities are out there like crazy playing it.
Closet D&D players have been playing for 30 some odd years, and somebody just randomly brings up, "Hey, have you heard of Dungeons and Dragons before? Me and my group play this game," and all of a sudden they're clapping like little girls, "Oh, D&D's back!"
Well, I mean, I would wonder. Part of me thinks that
sorry, that not little girls. I apologize.
We get what you're saying, though.
We get the metaphor.
Excited. I have a feeling that Gary Gygax is probably in some ways rolling over in his grave right now because he can't stand how accessible D&D is. But he
rolling over in excitement.
Yeah,
I bet this is exactly what you would want.
I don't know, because if you go back and you look at the history of it, his push was always to make it more complicated, and now it's so accessible and so easy. Ben, last time we had this conversation, you said something to the effect of, I can be a DM with 7 people at the table, and only one of the people at the table has ever played before and has ever seen a player's handbook, and 7 people walk away with smiles.
And I don't have a headache.
And you don't have a headache
as a DM, because that's huge.
And that,
because we all know that as a DM, and you have a huge table,
Oh, yeah.
that can be daunting.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean,
a
even
tough
for
task to
even
take.
for a player, right?
That's
Absolutely.
that's a topic.
For everybody. Yeah, that's
That's a topic.
Side quest.
Yeah, when you've got to play a table of, we'll say, even 6 people, it ends up being like 15 minutes between your turns.
Especially the higher level you get.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying that it is accessible, and I think maybe not everybody should play D&D, but everybody should probably. I would go as far to say that we need to be playing D&D 5th edition in schools.
I'll agree with that.
As a class.
And I think all of us are on the same page to that part. Like, this needs to be like a teaching tool. Like, this rule set lends itself well to teach kids and adolescents, and not only adolescents but adults, period, about
Well,
about
not even the rule set.
camaraderie
Take the rule
and-
set even out of it. I think tabletop RPGs in general, the whole idea of role playing another person in a social dynamic of other people role playing other people creates everything that we've just been talking about. The ability to get over social awkwardness or internal conflicts and stuff like that. But I don't think the rule set really matters.
This is where I
I think
disagree.
the rule.
Me
I
too.
think
Hold
D&D 5e rule set just makes it very, very simple and smooth.
and I think that's what we need, though. That's why I say D&D is because 5th edition is obviously the current edition that we're in. But this rule set lends it so even the simplest minded person, or even the person that doesn't have enough time to delegate or dedicate a whole fucking month or so into game preparation, can be a DM, and you can understand a rule set just by watching a couple YouTube videos as opposed to reading a 300-page Dungeon Master's Guide or Player's Handbook. I mean, of course you have to know these concepts, but you can get the simplest terms from the starter set without a Player's Handbook or anything like that, and play a game of Dungeons and Dragons and sustain it. Not only do you get the game inside of a starter set, but you can sustain the adventure that you create in that starter set with only those starter set rules.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll just go on record of saying I've been DMing for a group of teenage boys for over a year and a half now, and I don't have a Dungeons Master's Guide, and I've never looked at one.
Here's the thing, though, is like, honestly, the Dungeon Master's Guide is all fluff. It's optional rules.
Yeah.
Player's Handbook, I mean, if you got power gamers or you got rules lawyers in your group, then that's the one you want to get. But I'm just saying, like, okay, so let's take, for instance, like, I had 8 people at the table. 3 of them had D&D experience. Not a lot of it. I'm talking about like 1 or 2 sessions. Everybody knows of the game, but nobody knows how to play the game. Mm-hmm. So as a DM, like, of course I know a fair share about it. I don't know everything. Even I get shit wrong all the time. Constantly. But I'm just saying, like, I was able to run a game off the cuff with nothing and have 8 people at the table interact with me and role play and be a character that they're not every day. Like, that's otherworldly to me, because you get people to, it's like sitting down and playing a game of Monopoly, in my opinion. Like, you can disguise it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want. We can call it just 20-sided dice. You can call it the game of chance. We could reskin it as a game of life, in my opinion, because life game sucks completely, in my opinion. Let's just reskin D&D as the game of life, and let's have this rule set, the starter book rule set, because it's a little pamphlet in a game board. You know what I mean? And say this is all it is.
They got those.
Do they?
Yeah, you can buy. It's like, I think they're like 40, 50, maybe $60. But you can get all the stories.
They're $20 at Target right now.
Oh, they are.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I was
What
looking
is
at them
this?
like a couple months ago. They're like, you can get all.
You can get the starter set, or you can get the essential set, or you can get the new.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, what are you?
No, the board games, the D&D board games.
I'm not talking about.
yeah,
Okay,
They
hold
have,
on.
they have the pamphlet.
I'm not talking.
Yeah.
Get the
I'm just
pamphlet,
talking
the
about
basic rules.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like, dude, if we repackage this as like this, let's call it Life Simulator.
Yeah.
Simulation of life, and you can put whoever opened the book, whoever thought about being the DM, in quotes, I'm doing the air quotes, like, they can put whatever spin on it they wanted. You know what I mean? They can skin it as whatever they wanted it to. Sci-fi, Wild Wild West, modern day. You could label it as your college years. We could do Saved by the Bell, the college years, whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? You could play this game however you wanted, based upon the rules. And you can reskin everything in there as whatever your system or your genre, not system, your genre wanted it to be.
Yeah.
You could call the green dragon that's in the starter set the fucking jock on the football team, the quarterback.
Oh, easy.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
could call him the fucking, if you wanted to be a group of outlaws, you could call him the sheriff.
Yep.
You know, or the Black Spider. You could call him whatever you wanted to too. You could call him the principal. You could call him the boss at your job.
Yep.
I'm talking about like this system lends itself so well because it's so simplistic to team building exercises and basic communication skills through human interaction.
Well, and I would say, so there's a couple points I want to make real quick is that why I don't think we can throw the rule set out is because there are times when the odds are stacked in your favor to a point where you can't fail and you still roll that natural one, and guess what? Sorry, you failed, right? And maybe that's a house rule thing that we do.
I think that is a house rule thing because in 5th edition, a natural 1+, you can't critically fail a skill check.
You can't critically, but
We don't play that way either.
No, we don't play that way. But I'm just saying,
But I'm
your
just saying, like-
chances are really low at that point.
yeah, you're really, really low at that point of not doing good. But let's say the DC, what is that, difficulty challenge or dice check or whatever that stands for?
Difficulty check.
Yeah. So let's say the DC's 15 and you've got a plus 12 in, I don't know, whatever, and you roll a natural 1. Well, guess what?
You're a couple short.
You're a couple short and you didn't get the job. You were the right candidate. Everything was right for you. You were wearing the right suit. You had your resume was perfect.
They didn't like that one answer you
You
gave.
shouldn't have farted.
That's exactly what it is, pretty much.
Shouldn't have farted during the
Shouldn't have
interview.
farted. And it
Possibly.
stunk.
And they
And
could
it
taste
tastes bad.
Yeah.
It tasted like
Oh,
onions
and you know what?
ketchup.
The worst thing is that everybody was wearing a mask and they get caught in a mask.
And they were, yeah, but you
would
get
think
the
it
point,
would,
right?
You'd think the mask
Okay,
would,
so-
would like
but-
block it out.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
really
It
doesn't.
fucking makes it
But-
worse.
But this is kind of the point is like, okay, so yes, you failed, right? But instead of being by yourself, you're with a group of people. Well, you guys have to figure out with whoever's left over how to overcome this challenge. And what's great about that is it does create the collaboration of where, hey, I was your guy to get this done, but for some reason I couldn't get it done. Does anybody else have anything that can help us overcome this challenge?
The team building aspect of the game is 100% there, and this rule set does lend to a simple understanding and an easy interpretation of how to play, what to do.
I struggle with the team building thing though, and the reason I struggle with that is because I have this like negative connotation with Flight of the Conchords, team building exercise 1999, where it's just like, and maybe it's from my corporate background of like, team building. It's like, it never builds the team.
No, corporate. I've
But,
done
like-
so many of those. No.
Yeah.
I can't
Do you ever
stand
feel
it.
close to
hold
your
on,
coworkers
hold on.
though?
But here's the thing, though.
I think I've literally
I
done the
think-
trustful thing.
I think
Dumbest thing in the world.
Hold on, I think I'm the ultimate team guy though. Like I find myself at my current job as like, where is the team aspect?
Totally.
Like, I'm like, you know what? Like, we all work in a production job where we're expected to fulfill numbers, and we constantly fall short of those numbers. And I'm like, look, if everybody would stop worrying about their own individual numbers and put the group first or the project first, then we probably fulfill not only the group's numbers but every individual number as well.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point of why I have, this is a completely side quest, why I have an issue with the team building aspect or the team building label is just from the aspect of like, you're not going to get there in a weekend. And I think with a lot of D&D, unfortunately, as we said earlier, I think Ben, you said something to the effect of like, it's hard to get it past 3rd level. A lot of people have played to 3rd level and they're like, well, yeah, it was fun. I played it, went over to my friend's house and I played Monopoly for a night and that was fun. And it's like, okay, but you need to get into it a little bit. Give a time commitment. Find a group of people that you can play for 6 months straight.
I think that's part of it though. Like, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
I think that's part of the whole situation that I'm talking
Sounded
about.
like team building to me.
But
I know. Yeah.
I think it's part of it though. I think it's a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, D&D is a commitment. Like, we make a commitment every other Friday to be here at a certain time for a certain allotted time
Yeah.
and play a game together. That's a huge commitment.
It's a tough commitment too
for people with families and other obligations.
It's a tough one to make.
Well, I mean,
but I do it.
But also, that's why I believe everybody should play D&D is because honestly, like, think about it.
Get them away from their family.
No. Also, it promotes responsibilities.
Yeah.
Responsibility and
it does.
commitment. It makes you commit to something that you don't know.
You were
if
the
you can
guy that
fulfill
was supposed to
commitment.
pick the lock, and you
But
couldn't
guess
get
what?
it picked.
Yeah, but guess what? But it also makes you like, hey, look, I got this. And somebody brings up something better, but you're like, listen, we're on a 6-month campaign binger. I can't fucking go to your party because I have a commitment to be the rogue at this party and pick that fucking lock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it shows not only why you're at the table, but absent from the table is like you made prior commitments because being in a play group where other people depend on you to be there so they can play their escape from reality.
Yeah.
That's a lot of commitment, and that's a responsibility that also this game lends itself to. You know what I mean? And like you said, you don't build a team in a weekend.
No, you can't, and that
Well,
goes
I
to
don't
my
think that's
other.
what team building exercises are meant to do. I don't think.
Maybe
you
not.
said-
I've just been in too
one
many
thing-
corporate
I
things.
think
Well-
so. Those exercises are geared to that, but you need to do it
I
more
don't-
frequently than just a weekend.
No, I don't even think they're geared to making it. I think team building exercises are geared to train your brain that it's
So there's other people.
that there's other people on the floor.
Yeah,
not
and-
to
but
build a team,
okay, but
to make you understand beyond yourself.
And that's where my second point that I was trying to make earlier is the topic tonight is everybody should play D&D, but playing D&D isn't just being a player character. I think everybody should at some point, not right off the bat, DM, because there is a completely different mindset that you have to embody that honestly not everybody's going to be good at, and that's okay. But it's important to learn those particular skills, not to sound like Liam Neeson from Taken, but a certain particular set of skills acquired over a long time that actually makes you a better employee, better friend, better
boss,
I mean, all kinds of things, because you're like
better spouse.
You're like being the DM, which Ben, you're the forever DM. Sorry, but like
Not no more. I'm taking over.
I got people coming out of their shells. Watch out.
I'm gonna be running.
Spread your wings and fly away.
And hopefully I run this throughout as long as the other two can make it.
I'll be there.
Cause Ben don't want to DM no more.
Yeah, if the other guys don't make it, you guys are both running 2 characters. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Whatever. But
I'm used to having conversations with myself.
But you get to that point where, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but Ben, you have to facilitate, and yes, you have a story that you want to tell, but really you're just facilitating us telling your story, which is really a weird thing to think about, because it's not about you. And that's something you've taught me, is like when you show up to the table, one of my characters,
The players are the story.
Yeah,
the DM's the world.
One of my kids came up with like one of the craziest ideas in the world, and I was going to tell him no. And Ben, the first thing you said to me was, "You screwed up already. You can't tell a player character no. You got to just make it work." And it's like, crap. That's actually true. Like and this might be a topic that we debate on, which is fine. But like, there's something to that. Is like, how do you be a DM and make sure that the player characters have fun? That's an entirely different skill set, but yet just as equally as important that everybody should experience.
I think most people that are going to be watching this will know this reference, but I think the greatest counter argument to something that just shouldn't.
No,
it's not even a no, but it's we all know this phrase, and where it comes from is you can certainly try.
Yes.
And I think that one phrase, and we all might have our variations
but I'll
of something
also
similar
bring
to
up another phrase in pop culture where you're where it's, but you're telling me there's a chance.
yeah.
But okay, but hold on.
But if
the
you
DM
say
is
that, if you say something like that, and they roll as a DM, you get set the difficulty as high as you want it to.
But
and you know, and like,
at what point?
and you just and you can narrate like they roll a natural 20 and they got a +5 to that skill. They hit a 25 and you're like, oh man, you just barely got your fingers to the edge of the ledge, but you slip.
But guess what? You got to give them something.
You gave him a little bit.
No, that's not enough.
Gave him a
That's
little.
not enough for a natural 20 and a 20 and +5.
you gotta
give them something.
Well, no, the counter to that.
Stumbled into a fucking hidden cave.
No. The
and
counter to that is
find a
you got to
chest
make
covered
sure
in
your description of that is
epic.
Well, no, to try to even you try to stop that before they get to that point. So there's I'm gonna use this a ledge that you don't want them to cross. So it's a bottomless pit, straight cliffs on each side, and it's like 40 feet away because everybody's move distance is 30 to 35, right? Unless you got a monk or a barbarian, whatever. But you know their distance. So you set this beyond their distance, beyond everything. You're like, there's a 0% chance, and you display that. It's like death at the bottom, too far to jump. There's nothing. You guys, no magic users, they got fly. But you got that one guy's like, well, I want to take a running leap and try to jump for that. Okay. All right. Do I say no at this point?
No, you don't. You let them try.
You let them try.
And
you hit that natural 20. They hit that natural 20
But here's what I would give them. In this situation, here's what I would say.
Are they falling to their death, or they...
No, here's what I would say. I would, if they roll a natural 20, I would give them the ledge. And you know what? At that point, it's your job as a DM to make up what's on the other side of that ledge.
Give them the ledge, but then make them make an athletics check to see if they can pull themselves
up.
I would give them the ledge because
give them the ledge.
I'm 100%. It says it through. I think in the player's handbook and the DMG and a few of the different other campaigns, it says some things are just impossible to do. Some things have a 0% chance of success.
I think we're kind of getting lost in the weeds.
We
here.
are.
Yeah, we're not into everybody should play D&D anymore.
No, we're not. But what I like. I want to go back to.
We went on a side quest.
We did go on a side quest about natural 20s.
Diversion.
No, like the
8.7% alcohol.
Anyway, no. So
Truly's are only 5.
yeah. Well, that's anyway.
It's like 2. No, it's like 1 and.
Anyway, no. I think what's great about D&D and what's great about being a dungeon master and why everybody should experience both aspects or both sides of the screen.
I think that's why our system that we came up with is we need to patent pen that.
We need to get there first.
Yeah,
we need to try to
we got to try it out.
We got to try it out.
Yeah.
First.
We haven't tried it out.
We think will work really well. But what I like about it is that it more than anything, D&D, and I don't know about the other version, but D&D 5e, my experience with it, has shown that, hey, you're not the hero of this story. You can be a hero in this story, but you are not the main character. And guess what? In life, I'm not the main character in my life. I mean, I think I am, but when I
could be.
I could be, but there's a lot of other stuff going on, right? So like with this podcast, the main character
is definitely me.
Is definitely you. No, I mean...
No, I was going to say me.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, no,
my affirmation card said I was the best.
Everybody,
I only received that from his daughter.
Yeah. Ben has been pushing this.
It was a random draw. Random draw. I pulled it out of the deck. It said, I am the best.
That's fine. You can believe whatever you want to believe.
You can certainly try.
You can certainly try. But
I am the best.
I'm just saying, like, in this podcast venture, I would say you're the main antagonist, right?
Yeah, sure.
I would totally say that. Now, John and I get the pleasure of being along for the ride. Not necessarily along for the ride in the fact that we're not contributing members, right? But we are not the main character.
No,
I don't know. I don't even think Ben would go.
At all times.
I think structurally, maybe, business aspect, Ben's the main guy.
I don't want to get lost in the weeds again. I'm just using like a really silly example.
But I would think as the podcast as a whole, I think
the group is going to decide who the main NPC is.
Yeah, and right. But I don't think 3 of us could even do it without one of us here.
But that's why we did this.
All 3
that's
of
why
us.
I brought it up to you guys as a whole. Is because I was like, listen, there's a chemistry here that we need to put on tape or on document or on SD card or whatever.
3 of us been doing this for a long time now.
For anybody who wonders, tapes are those things they don't have anymore.
Yeah. The 3 of us been doing this for a while, unrecorded, just shooting the shit.
Right, but here's the other thing is why D&D lends itself to why everybody should play D&D in my mind is because I can honestly say, like, maybe me and John would be friends because we met before D&D. But honestly, like, if Andy doesn't step to my table, if Andy doesn't come to the table and play, I wouldn't have known Andy. So Andy D&D brings people together that may not be introduced to you other than D&D. And also, like, we've also come to the realization, the
new word.
the realization,
Googleable.
8.7%, realization that John and Andy might not have been friends even if they did meet outside D&D. Wasn't that a thing too?
Did we talk about that?
No,
Yeah,
I think
you guys
we
did
had
talk
that
about
I
discussion.
think we had. Like, it was D&D that brought us together.
Right. So common interests.
Like outside,
like,
I don't think we're so
let's-
separate.
Right.
But
so
if anybody watches us play together, they would think we were probably the best friends,
of friends.
at the table.
Yeah. Yeah,
I know.
most of the time those guys are the glue that's holding the group together.
Yeah.
While I'm sitting here shaking my head with my head in my palm, like, oh my fucking god.
Me
Why are you
and Andy
splitting
are
the
just
party?
trying to get everybody on the same page, but
Why
nobody
are you
wants
splitting
to.
the party again? What the fuck?
No, but I totally get all that. My point being that their D&D helps you. Sorry if I got away from my mic a little bit. D&D helps you as a person work out the ideas that, hey, this isn't your moment. You need to step back and support the person who is the person of the moment.
A role for everybody, and everybody has a role.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with, like, I don't think there's a single human being, and maybe that's just my background and my way of thinking, but I don't think there's a single human being on the planet that is useless.
Absolutely. No, everybody has a reason to be.
And D&D allows those useless people to feel useful on a regular schedule, to show them and give them the confidence, hey,
in real life, I have a use too.
I do have a use. My use might be, and this sounds silly, coming to the table and play D&D and helping make this adventure. But guess what? We need to, as a society, probably say that is useful. Storytelling. We are a storytelling race.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. No.
And
how we
And
pass
all
down history.
D&D is collaborative storytelling.
It's choose your own adventure with 6 people at the table.
You know,
As many
I
as you
think
want.
I think to that point, the people that, God forbid, they feel useless in the real world or whatever, but D&D can bring them, like you said, some form of unlocks some form of feeling of usefulness just by showing up. But how? How does it unlock that? And that's where I think I'm gonna go against what I said at the beginning of this topic. But for those people, they might get real good or dive head first into role playing a character, and it can help that their buddy out that's struggling with something at home, that's playing through some sort of demon, and I've seen a lot of people play not a demon necessarily, the internal demon that they're having, but some sort of fantasy maybe, and I wrote down murder hobo here. You see it, that's a pretty common one. Normal kids or people
Just
playing,
being able to take out of your aggression without any consequences.
and it might not even be murder hobo level type stuff, but it's like, they're playing some sort of depressed character. Well, maybe that's a shadowing of what they feel at home, and you as a friend, you don't know that, but now that you see that in their character, that you might be able to help them out that way,
or connect dots,
or even
I guess
more,
that goes to maybe this is a form of counseling.
Well, and that's what I was saying about this is like, okay, so you are allowing, like, the one thing that I see with teenagers the most is they aren't very good at the accents and the pretending to be somebody that they're not, right?
I suck at that too.
Oh, I suck at it as well.
They're transparent as all hell.
They're super transparent, and they call BS. Like, I don't care what anybody says. There is no demographic on the planet that has a bigger BS meter or a more fine-tuned BS meter than a group of teenagers. If you aren't in it, they're going to know it firsthand so fast it's going to make your head spin. You can't fake it with teenagers. I don't know what it is about that demographic. They're good at faking it, but you can't fake it with them. It's just something about that. What's interesting is that, so you have these teenagers that have to fake it in the general pop. I'm going to call it gen pop, prison, because I've been to plenty of high schools lately, and a lot of them are starting to kind of look like free range prisons. So these kids have to act a certain way. They have to be a certain way. And then they show up to the table and they play a character that is probably more who they actually are.
Oh yeah.
than
I'll
what everybody sees them as.
But okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
no,
But isn't everybody that way? Like,
everybody
every
is.
character that we've ever made is a little part of ourselves that we wish we were more of.
Your very first character.
True.
Your very first character, even maybe your second character or third character, was everything you wish you were.
I don't know about my
Or
first character, but
I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah,
everything
my
that I
first
was
character,
probably my
like
first
I
character.
grew up. My idol growing up was Indiana Jones. I loved Indiana Jones,
we'll name the dog Indiana.
and I think I think my first character was actually a kitsune, wasn't it?
You've played so many Kitsune rogues, it's fucking ridiculous.
I only played one kitsune rogue.
You, in Rapinatha, what were you?
Oh no, that was Tabaxi.
Same fucking
No,
difference.
different. But
John's favorite class is a rogue.
yeah, but that's I
I
don't know.
have
That's
a favorite
how
class. I just have a favorite race. I'm a dwarf.
my favorite class is rogue. But I think that's because I've watched Indiana Jones, who had to do sneak into Nazi castle meetings.
Definitely the swashbuckler rogue.
Oh yeah, cave
No.
dive, going into caves, fighting people, figuring out puzzles, traps. The penitent man will
but
kneel.
at the same time, Indiana Jones even having an adventuring party.
Yeah.
He was an adventuring party.
No,
No,
but-
bullshit. Because
Got his
in
dad.
every movie, he had a sidekick.
Oh, yeah.
Or a couple of them. A couple NPCs that helped him along the way. He had very many resources in people. that
Okay,
he
yeah,
used.
yeah, but I'm just saying. But my first few characters were all
Did you hear
my
the dreaminess
idol.
in John's voice when he said he was an adventurer?
Oh yeah, no, Indiana
And
Jones.
I get what you're saying, and I'm not talking
He's my
about
idol.
wanting to role play or be your hero. I'm saying that inevitably
No, but
your personality, your true personality, comes out in those first characters, because you have the excuse to say, "Well, I'm just playing my character," so therefore people can't be like, "Well, you're doing it wrong." Well, you can't tell somebody that they're living their life.
And that's why everybody should play D&D is because
Yeah.
nobody can tell you you're doing it wrong.
So my point being that you've got these young men and women that are in high school, they're playing D&D, and they're working through stuff, as you put it, John. Like, I see a lot of that happen.
I bet you do with dealing with a lot of teenagers. I imagine you
Yeah,
see
and
a lot of working through some really
They're
weird.
not doing it intentionally.
No, I got a question
So
because
it
I wrote
just
I
comes
wrote
out.
something down earlier when you were talking about this, and this really playing out your inner self that you don't want to express to people.
Mhm.
And I see it a lot. I'm in a few different Facebook groups, and I see this topic come up a lot and how people deal with it. Murder hobos.
Yeah.
That's a lot of first-time players tend to be murder hobos.
I would say that there's something going
And
on
I'd
there,
imagine
though.
teenagers
I don't
probably
know.
more so
I don't
than
actually
okay,
know.
hold on.
No?
I don't know if murder hoboism is a direct correlation to human thought, like the deep
Yeah. I
think it
inner
is.
divings of what they're dealing with, or if it's a direct correlation with video games per se, is that we're brainwashed to say the game wants me to do this, so therefore that's how I get the objective.
Oh, you're
If there's
saying
a
like
guy
the-
in front of me and I've got my weapon out, I'm supposed to
Right.
kill him.
This game says I should kill him. But in D&D, you're not exposed to the open sandbox of possibilities, or you're not hinged by the code of the game.
You are in a sandbox of
You
open
have-
possibilities.
You can
Endless possibilities.
You can talk to anybody
Right.
at any
convince
point
that
in
dragon
time.
that you're
Yeah.
not going to.
And you can say, I'm not afraid of you, and you don't even have to draw your weapon first.
But I think from just
Or
reading
are we
reading
a
people's
desensitized society that doesn't know how to talk anymore, and our first inclination is to
Oof.
strike?
sick
I
deep
think-
topic.
honestly, I
Deep
think
topic.
I think Murder Hobo and the philosophy behind it, I could probably talk about it for about an hour. I think it's
side quest. That's
a
another
side
topic.
quest or another.
All right,
That's another-
We'll bookmark that
I
one.
just all
I
I
think
have to
that's a good
say
one.
is
yeah.
everybody playing you might find personality of a person you thought pretty well
But the-
to be kind of like whoa.
But here's the other thing: is like I've been
what
a part
kind
of groups. I've been a part of groups where
I mean, I
where
think I did
those
that
groups,
once.
those groups have
We all have.
exhausted every avenue, and the DM doesn't give them anything to go on, and all of a sudden the group is just like, "Fuck it, we're gonna kill everybody then," because you
Yeah.
haven't given us absolutely anything with everything that we tried between the five of us.
Yeah,
and we
you
still
don't.
have
Is it,
absolutely
is
nothing.
it a
a product
bad
of
DM?
a product of
Bad
frustration?
story? Yeah.
Well, I
we
think
don't know.
I think it's a product
think-
of it could
be.
I think it could be that, but I also think that there is something in I'm an American an American, live in the United States of America, and I will say that there is something about our collective cultural mindset that aggression is a bad thing and it doesn't accomplish anything. And I think that there could be an aspect from this really weird philosophical side of things that's what murder hoboism is doing, is peeking that out of like, no, aggression actually can accomplish things, and aggression in itself isn't a good or bad thing. It's a neutral thing. It's how you use it. Now, the other aspect that I think is because you see the murder hobo being either the longtime player or the new player. The new player doesn't know the rules and they think they're just there to mess shit up. So they show up and they start killing stuff. The old time player is bored and dealing with stuff, and they're like,
this group sucks. You're all a bunch of new people that don't know the rules.
Yep.
You're not playing my play style. I'm gonna fucking
kill the shopkeeper
boat and run away.
Or I'm gonna kill the shopkeeper.
Well, is
and
it
I'm gonna see what the DM has to roll
leadership?
with it, because I think I should be the DM.
Hold on. Wait, here's one for you guys. I'm tired of this level 10 campaign. I'm going to take the magic items and the boat and run away. You guys try to find me.
We can even go to what we were 9th level, owned a town, had how many people, because we all took leadership.
Flaws of Pathfinder.
Yeah.
No, but
Pathfinder leadership feat
drop
is
a red
broken.
drop a black dragon on you, almost kill it in 3 hits. It tries to run away. We chase it, kill it, and we never see the DM again.
But I also would say, going back to why everybody should play D&D, is that these particular failures that I think anybody who's played D&D longer than a year has gone through, these are things that have probably made you a better person in reality if you have taken the time to actually think through these things.
Or reflect upon them.
Yeah.
And reflect upon them.
I think
and reflect.
Yeah. Like, how could I have made...
take it, like you said, taking the time to actually think it through some of your actions in the game, why you did them, who you're interacting with, what, the circumstances around it. I think that actually develops you outside of the game. And this is to your point.
Yeah.
It develops you outside of the game and gives you maybe scenarios that you wouldn't come across on your own.
A retrospect of how you should think things through.
Yeah.
Or the flaws in which you were thinking things through, and now gives you another way to think things
you make
through.
a mistake in the game, you think about it afterwards, like, oh man, maybe if I just said this different.
Or if I would have just asked that one more question. So now every time you approach a situation that you're unsure of, you ask one more question.
Simple weird things. I was
looking
trying
at it
so
from-
hard to disagree with the topic just so I could be that guy at the
But
beginning.
that's why at the
but
beginning it says we all should play
Yeah.
D&D because
because we got you. But going back to the part about why I think everybody should be a dungeon master as well is that you start to see the failure or the breakdown of a group from the other side of the screen, and when you go into the player mindset, you realize that sometimes these groups don't fall apart because of the DM. It's so easy to blame the DM about all this stuff, right? But the reality is you are just as culpable in all of that, right? Being a DM is very taxing on the mind. It's a lot of work, but exactly.
Yeah, trying to get one character to roll 3 D100s for 2 weeks is fuck my
during
life.
the holiday season, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. No, but you being a DM, I don't think there's a seat at the table that does not offer the opportunity for the lowest lows and the highest highs. When a session goes well, I don't care. The characters, they're going to be like super stoked about it, but the DM is going to be the one that's going to be like,
pat myself on the back.
they're going to be like, this is the best thing ever. I can't wait. I'm not even going to go to sleep tonight. I'm going to plan the next session, right?
And then the next session blows up in your fucking face.
It does.
And it's a complete destruction
Is that
of
like
everything.
my Rockma campaign?
And then all of a sudden it's like,
No.
what does the brooch look like?
Dude, that Rockma blew up in my face.
I don't think it did.
First session, I thought the first session was epic.
I thought we did a good job on the second session.
Second
except for we
section.
just kept killing your
Second
stuff.
session.
Second section.
I thought I failed horribly.
You get my point, though, right? It's like you need to be able to see both sides. Where success is a collaborative process,
And so is failure.
and so is failure.
And everybody at the table, and that's also why I think that everybody should play D&D, is because
Amen.
guess what? A group of people coming together to solve a common problem, and when that problem gets solved through collaborative involvement, everybody applies themselves accordingly, or like lends their skills accordingly to solve the problem. When everybody does that as a group, and you realize that, hey, look, this was so much easier than me trying to accomplish it by myself because I'm not efficient or proficient in all of these things. When I can lend myself my proficiencies and my efficiencies to a group-based system or a group-based problem where everybody else has things that they're good at, and the success is benefits the group on as a whole, those are the best successes. Like, think about it. Like, think about American history. The best stories or the best successes are told by a group of people
That don't belong together.
that don't belong together, or that didn't belong together at the beginning but found themselves together by the end.
yeah.
That's the American Revolution.
Yeah.
That's the epitome
You got
of what we're going through
like
at
2
this
dozen
moment.
guys that in no way or shape would have talked to each other.
But also what we're facing in society as we speak.
Yeah.
People that don't think that they belong together but have been battling together throughout their whole lives.
Well, that's one of the things that I like about working with the teenager side of it is that typically have a good mix of like the jocks, the robotics kid, the goth kid, the glee kid, you know, like just this really weird group of kids that the only reason they're there is because they know me and they think I'm cool, which God forbid many people continue to do that. AG. Yeah, no, and that's the group that calls me AG. But they think I'm cool and they want to come play D&D, and then they meet these other people and they realize, oh, they're not actually that different than me.
right?
They have different
Yeah.
interests, but that's
Yeah.
it. They're
I like
still
football.
the same person.
That guy looks theater, but actually, you know what? Besides theater and football, we actually like the same things.
But at the same time, like
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you're a bad person and we can't be friends.
No, that's what's great about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what's awesome about this.
It's like,
is-
oh, wait a minute.
oh, wow.
That kid that I thought was like really weird and I was afraid that he was going to shoot up the school, he's actually a really cool kid. And
Right,
he's probably
and
one of
now
the
I'm more
happiest
worried
people
about,
I've ever
and
met.
now I'm more worried about my friend who keeps telling me about these people that's going to shoot up the school.
Yeah.
And he's probably the one that's going to shoot up the fucking school.
Yeah, you know, I mean, not to make light of that kind of thing, but like you start to see these connections being built. And I think ultimately, as I fully believe fundamentally in every fiber of my being that humans are relational beings, I believe we are pack animals. I believe we
Did
are
you said at the
herd-
beginning we are storytelling creatures?
We are storytelling creatures, but you can't tell a story in a closet by yourself. You've got to be around other
No,
people.
And you got to have people to
if you
listen.
tell a
You
story in
got
a
to.
closet by yourself, you're just leaving cave drawings, and that's
Yeah,
a form of storytelling.
but you had
Yeah.
somebody to look at.
but it's
them.
up for interpretation.
But see, and
Thousands of
that,
years later.
that's what's beautiful
Red
about this
handprints
game
everywhere.
is that it almost forces that kind of, hey, we're actually not that different.
No, it gets rid of it. Period. Because
Yeah.
guess what? You don't have that mantra floating over you anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because once that goth kid creates the orc barbarian, he's no longer a goth kid. Once that jock creates the freaking gnome artificer, he's no longer that jock.
Well, you know,
And they're
even
forced to
beyond
be
the
something
characters they
else.
create, you get like for the teenagers you play with, and if you're having such an eclectic group, you get that eclectic group into one room around one table. Forget the game.
Rooting for each other.
They're all here. They all know I'm the football player. I'm the theater kid. I'm the band member.
The backlash can be freaking like devastating.
They all know we're here together to play an imaginary game.
We are playing pretend.
We are going to play pretend. We all enjoy it. And we've all found that we all enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Regardless of our social status within the school. That's without the game, that's not even the game. Like the
Sports
characters you
doesn't do that.
create or whatever. That's just actually sitting at the table looking at each other.
And sports
And
can't do that.
No.
And that's a commitment because they're committing to every time you set a precedent of when the session's going to be, what time it is, and everybody shows up and you don't have an issue with that kind of stuff or scheduling
Man, I want to come play
conflicts
one
or
of your
whatever.
games.
Me too.
I really do.
Me
I want to
too.
come play
I
one
just
of
want to
these.
DM for these kids.
You should.
I just want to
honestly.
play I want to play a character with these kids.
So you get a commitment from
And have
from
Andy
all,
DM. I've never had
all
Andy
walks
DM.
of society. You know what I mean? You get a commitment from kids that get judged on a daily basis,
Oh yeah.
and you get a commitment from all of them. That's awesome. That's why everybody should play D&D, because it breaks down the stereotypes of what we think, and most of this is in our heads, folks. Like most of our stereotypes exist in our heads. I know everybody has experiences, and everybody has their own preconceived notions about what society accepts or what you're perceived as. But in D&D, you can be whatever you want to be.
You can be.
And you can create that.
But hold
So
on.
you can break that stereotype of your own preconceived notion, and maybe let's say for instance, I am the withheld, withdrawn, silent loner type, and let's say for instance, like, okay, my first campaign I play the silent loner type, and I don't like that because you know what, I see the rest of the group having fun, blah blah blah. So the next time I'm gonna try to take that leadership role, and I'm gonna be the boisterous fighter, cavalier, or battle master in front lines, dealing it out, telling the cleric, hey, you should heal that guy over there.
Mhm.
And I like that. So I like that so much that in my real life, guess what? The next time the teacher asks me,
I'm going to try that out.
the next time that there's a question and I know the answer, I'm not going to be withdrawn.
I'm
actually going to raise my hand
Yep.
and I'm going to speak out because you know what? It happened and I liked the way it felt before. I'll probably like it this time too.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you kind of touched on there that I believe when we first had this conversation we talked about, but we haven't talked about it yet, is the idea that you have the opportunity to make your own person. You have the opportunity to, quote unquote, backfill all of your personal weaknesses that you think you need to have or you think that you should overcome in order to overcome certain challenges in your life. And guess what? It's just as difficult.
If not more.
If not more, so guess what? Maybe you are
Enough.
actually enough, and maybe you are equipped with everything that you need to overcome the crap life throws at you.
But not only that, not only are you enough, but at the same time, your ability to learn on the fly. Because just you did in that campaign setting where you thought your character was foolproof, you were able, through communication and through the deduction of whose skills are what, to learn on the fly. And 99%, because a DM wants to tell a good story, you're going to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have a shit DM where they just want to fucking kill you. But at the same time,
It's usually
the
a conversation you have at first, but
right.
yeah.
But at the same time, like, you probably overcome that issue. And guess what? If you can overcome it at a D&D group, that gives you the strength to be like, just because I don't have those skills now doesn't mean I can't learn those skills. And the next time that situation is presented to me, doesn't mean that I won't attack it full head because I know what to expect. But it also means that I can adapt on the fly.
Yeah, maybe I won't attack it with, full head on, but I won't shy away from it either, right? I'll stand up, and maybe instead of just being scared and going away from it, maybe I'll recognize the situation and I'll say, I know people that can help me with this. I mean, that maybe the best way to say that everybody should play D&D is to look at the teenagers. I mean, it's just one of those things.
And not only the teenagers, just to build on this last point before John has a really good idea here, but not only the teenagers, as a DM, like, dude, like, imagination is key.
Oh, yeah.
And if we focus in on the little people in our world, they'll give us the best ideas ever.
The number one health crisis.
Oh my God. I can only imagine taking some DM storytelling tips from my 5-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
I do from my 3-year-old.
I know.
All
I
the
think
time.
you've told me some of
all
these.
the time.
Like I would have things. There's absolutely no way I can come up. There's nothing. I couldn't come up with some of these things.
No.
One of the things this is fact. The biggest health concern facing the world today is not heart disease, it's not cancer, it's actually child abuse, which child abuse can be seen as a bunch of different things. But if we drop these kids that are living in very unbearable traumatic experiences, environments, and we can drop them into something where they can actually have agency and work this stuff out. That's freaking huge.
Dude, okay, based on that, John, you got a really good idea, but I want to just capitalize on one of these things that Andy just said, because we're going down
Listen
a
to
rabbit
all
hole
that.
there.
Listen to that.
We're going down a rabbit hole. But I had a gentleman, one of my good friends, tell me a story the other day, and it was a very private story, but he didn't mind sharing.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me a story about why he thought that he acted, or he did something, and it was an enlightenment experience where he found out why he acted the way he did towards other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that happened to him when he was a kid
Yeah.
that he had locked away for a long time, and most of us forget about that.
Yep.
So to be able to open up those wounds or to revisit those situations through a game,
The guise of playing
situation,
pretend.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
through the eyes of imagination.
Yep.
That's powerful stuff. That's powerful therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're seeing it happen. We're seeing it work. And honestly, I'm one of those people that believes everybody needs therapy. Not because everybody's screwed up, but everybody has something they're working on, and they're not meant to do it alone.
I don't necessarily believe it's therapy that they need. I think they need an outlet to communicate.
And I would say tomato.
Yeah, okay, but I don't want to give it that word.
Yeah, that's I would say I
And
agree
maybe
with
D&D
both of you. I agree with both of
D&D
you.
is my therapy then.
Yes,
It
I agree
could
with
be.
both
You
of
know
you.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I don't get therapy, but at the same time, I play a lot of D&D. Well, I play D&D with you guys. I don't know if it's enough or a lot, but I play D&D. So
I don't even
so
know for
let's-
us, honestly, if the D&D is therapy. I think it's the hour-and-a-half bullshit session we have every.
that's why we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
But okay, so John, you wrote down something and you just showed it to me. Like, let's build on that.
You brought up, Andy, skill building, and somebody, fearing trying something, but in the game they succeeded and it felt good, and then outside of the game they, what, I might try that again. Well, there's something since I was a little child, based a lot of my life on was failing. And learning from that. Pretty much everything I've ever done I've failed at.
Even rolling dice.
Oh, I still to this
Sorry,
day
I could not.
still. I mean, if you could fail at rolling dice, that is me. Yes.
Sorry. That was you. Were,
You know what? Unless I'm at a casino, I'm actually pretty good there.
He's only good at the six-siders.
Yep. But no, failing. I think failing gives and is such a skill builder.
Mhm.
And
Totally agree.
D&D is a safe
Place
to fail.
Yeah.
You could try social interactions that you never thought you would attempt.
Or even the most obvious solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Like let's say like let's build on what Andy said, where like you build a character to supersede everything that you think as a person you lack in.
Yeah.
And even when you come up to those things that you think that you should supersede, and like, oh, I'm gonna fucking blow this out of the water. This is exactly what I'm built for.
You got rogues, the rogue thing. I can't remember what it's called, where they get a 10 on everything, no matter what. Pretty much.
Oh,
evasion?
No, it's it's
reliable talent.
Reliable talent.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay,
a feat.
so
isn't it?
so you get
No, it's a rogue ability.
So you build your character like, this is my shit, this is my jam, and then you roll that one, or you fucking fail at it. Let's just say the DC was astronomically high, like you said. But then as a group, you find a way. It's like the guy on Jurassic Park. Life finds a way.
No, I mean, to that point, you fail at something that you should be exceptionally good at, and you failed at it. Now comes the problem solving.
Yeah.
Okay, but back
You
up.
gotta really, really problem solve. I'm like, all right, I gotta come up with another way to do that same
And what's
thing.
what's that solution? We're not going to go through the door. We're going through the roof.
Yeah, but I would even say when you failure is like in D&D a sliding scale. We've got an either or. Either you pass or you don't. It's very binary, right? But let's say that the DC is 25 and you roll a 24. Well, you still fail, but that doesn't mean you did a bad job.
But that's life too.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Is hey, there's going to be times where your best, it's not that it's not good enough. It just didn't cut it.
It was great.
You were
just
great.
didn't succeed, and that's not a failure on your point.
No.
But to my original point, based off of your succeeding on a skill check story, my failing on a skill check story is, even if you fail at something and you're that kid that kind of internal
Everything is my fault. I'm
you
closing
know,
the door to everybody.
and you're like, all right, I'm gonna take a step out of my comfort shell, and I'm gonna try something in the game, and you fail at it. Mm-hmm. And the DM's like, oh, yeah, that didn't. But you realize something. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
Failing wasn't that bad.
You don't dwell on it. It's okay. And there's other stuff to do. Move on.
Well,
and
that's what you learn in the game as that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to that.
You turn the page.
Yep.
You're like, okay. Well, then when you go into real life, that kid goes back into real life, and they're like, okay, I'm going to try this, and if it fails on them, maybe they'll revert back to that time where they failed in the D&D game, or like, failing wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I was able to continue on like normal.
Yeah.
And in life they do that.
Yeah, and I think
I think that's the I don't even know the word. It's the anti, but it's the same as your success.
No, it's exactly what you're saying. My biggest joy in D&D and working with teenagers in D&D is that it gives them a certain outlet to be a relevant human being. It gives them a certain outlet to realize that their particular, I think as a teenager, I remember being so defined by the things that you enjoyed, whether it was your music or whatever, right? Like
it wasn't even just that. It was just, it was totally your interests.
You shop at Hot Topic
and then
and
it was,
you listen
it
to
was
metal
also
music.
the people that you surrounded yourself with.
I don't know if it was the same for you, and I think it was, you can, on the surface, you could put it as you defined yourself as the things you're interested in. I take it a little step deeper. I think as you defined yourself as what you were trying to find interest in, because I dabbled in a lot of different things, music styles, all this, and they were fleeting, super fleeting.
But when you're our age, right, you realize like I can like this type of music and dress this way and drive this car and those
play
things,
this game
and those things don't have to connect. I can just enjoy these things
because nobody gives a shit.
That's what you find.
They don't.
I think that's the biggest aspect of coming from being a teenager or a young adult to an adult. It's that realization that nobody fucking cares. Nobody really fucking cares at all.
No.
Like I tell all these like 40, 50-year-old guys at work that I work with that are, crazy smart engineers, and I'm like, oh yeah, I play a D&D game. They're like, oh, that's cool. They don't care. One guy's like, oh, I used to play that back in the, early 80s. I was like, oh yeah. It's not the same game, but oh, cool. He's like, yeah. Anyways, they don't fucking care. Nobody cares.
No.
Nor do they have time to.
No, because they got their own interests.
I think that's
we
a
all
lot.
have our own interests.
Yeah.
But I also think that realizing, especially as a young adult and teenager, that realizing that you can have things in common with people otherwise labeled as opposite of you or different than you, those one thing that you have in common can be stronger than every other label that defines you.
To the everybody should play D&D is, I think D&D, like you said earlier with your high schoolers, is a whole bunch of people that have nothing in common. D&D can give them something in common and realize that their differences are not that vast.
They
and not
realize
that
they
great.
have a ton in common.
Wasn't there a movie made about this? I feel like this
Breakfast
was
Club?
Breakfast Club? Yeah.
This is exactly what
They just didn't use D&D, but yep.
Not everybody should go to detention. Everybody should play D&D instead.
They both start
You
with
find
D.
out that no matter how different you think you are,
You're really the same.
you're really the
inside.
same.
Well, and that I think is the great place to just leave it is that D&D is the connective tissue. If I was going to write a thesis for this episode, D&D is the connective tissue that brings people together, that allows them to understand that their differences are far less impactful than their similarities. And at the end of the day, people just want to connect and they want to have fun and they want novelty. Okay.
You were fine.
John took that.
Hold on. D&D players just want to have fun.
John took that and Ben went with it in a different way. But
I was actually really listening to you, and then you said that, and the lyrics just popped in my head.
I know, but
Great. And then I heard that.
but it's that, hey, I think that guy's a lot different, but he's not. And at the end of the day, I want to be part of something, and novelty is great too. So why wouldn't I want to spend time with people that aren't like me? Because if I'm in an echo chamber all the time, and that's, I think, one of the biggest problems in the world today with algorithms on social media, with people living in areas where they're very like a lot of the people that they're living around, and no knock on it. That's just human nature. That's fine. But there's no
Sometimes
novelty
it's
anymore.
forced.
Sometimes it's forced. But
there's nothing stopping you from expanding your horizons.
no. And I mean,
But like you're saying though, there's nothing also wrong with staying in your echo chamber.
there isn't. But
There isn't.
but it's a lot of fun to go out and
Yes.
look at the kooks,
Absolutely.
right?
Who doesn't
Well,
like the people
I mean,
watch?
I love people watching.
I love my own echo chamber as much as anybody likes their own echo chamber. But one thing I do like is listening to other people, listening to their, quote unquote, echo chambers.
Well, what's fascinating is that
And possibly getting an idea that maybe maybe I'll open up the door to my echo chamber and let some other stuff leak in.
But also, I think that that's why everybody should play D&D because also it allows you and it makes you sometimes. It forces you
Just the point is D&D kind of will.
to listen to other people's perspectives.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
just like when you rolled the 24 on the 25 DC and you couldn't succeed, now you're at the mercy of everybody else because you've tried your hardest.
oh yeah.
And now you have to figure out what else can somebody offer to help you get past this, whatever it is in front of you.
Well, and I'm hesitant to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because who cares? Is like, even from a political standpoint of people, like you're going to meet people.
Brought the
that-
P word in it.
I did bring the P word. I know we're not supposed to talk about religion and
right one.
yeah, religion and politics. Sorry, guys. But like, I think one of the things that D&D also helps is like
Almost made it.
nobody's talking about that stuff at the table. We're rolling dice, we're having fun, and we're killing dragons. And guess what? When you get out of your comfort zone and you go out into the world, you probably will find out, if you can learn through D&D, which I think is the best way to do it, that hey, you too are trying to solve the same exact problems. You agree that there are this thing, you agree on the problem. What you're disagreeing on is the solution. And that's actually pretty good to have this common ground to be like, you know
Right.
what, you're right.
Now let's build on it.
Let's
now
work on it.
compromise.
Nailed
So
it.
what I just took from you was, as citizens, we should force all politicians to play D&D.
They should be the first ones, guys.
And I think the president should be the dungeon master and have to deal with the fact.
Yes!
He already is.
You get it figured out real quick.
There's something about
The minds of
Guantanamo
everybody else.
Bay dungeon master kind of thing that just isn't working with me right now.
You can't handle the truth.
But no, I'm
You're
just
nuking the dwarves.
All right. And on that note, I think that we will conclude our first session of Dice and Brews.
We had a few side quests.
We'll leave you with those parting words. So make sure you follow us on Facebook at Of Dice and Brews. That's Of Dice, the word and Brews. And again on Instagram at Of Dice and Brews. Of Dice, the symbol, and Brews. And until next time, remember, life's an adventure. Roll with it.